Hello and welcome to Fantasy Plus. It's week 14 of the NFL season, and we're getting through. The playoffs are almost here. We've got 1 week left of the regular season in most leagues. Joining me is Phil Pinarski. Phil, there you are.
We're matching today.
Yeah, we're matching. That? Yeah, we got the memos. I got the green. I got the Ducks and Seahawks green underneath. So got to celebrate those wins. Phil, you've clinched a playoff spot in the league.
Well, I mean,
I feel good about that.
I feel like the one positive thing from this NFL season is the fact that went on a bit of a run in the fantasy league at the work league, clinched that playoff spot. Again, I don't know how much it makes up for the fact that my Raiders just keep getting worse and worse. It seems like a little bit hard to enjoy the full beauty of an NFL season when your team is that bad. But you know what? If the Raiders have to take a step back for me to do so well in this fantasy league, I think that's a fair trade. I don't know how many other Raiders fans would agree with that.
You do have some great fantasy assets on your team, though, so you've got that to look forward to. Maybe a high draft pick to look forward to next year. Well, let's look at the Thursday night preview. Cowboys, Lions, Detroit at home, back-to-back Thursdays, coming off the Thanksgiving loss. Dallas, 3 straight wins.
Yeah.
They're 6-5-1. Detroit 7-5. Detroit is favored by 3. This is an over/under of 54.5. This is a fantasy gold mine.
Absolutely. And it's really funny just because you mentioned both the teams' records. Both teams played on Thanksgiving. One team won. That was the Dallas Cowboys. One team lost. Of course, the Detroit Lions. The Lions have a better record than the Cowboys right now, but I think if you ask the fan bases right now, they would. If you ask the Lions fans, they would all be dreading this game and looking at maybe more of the negatives of this team. If you're a Cowboys fan, though, you're gonna be feeling pretty good. 3 straight wins against, especially those past 2 wins over the last 2 Super Bowl contestants with the Philadelphia Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs. I think a couple weeks ago, I probably would have said Detroit by 1 million in this game. Right now, just after what we've been seeing and the momentum kind of building with Dallas, this is going to be a really fun game to watch. Not only if you love football, but also if you've got some of these guys in fantasy. Like you said, Aaron, it's a gold mine this week.
Yeah, start your Dallas quarterback, which I'll be doing in a league this year, in a league this week. The running back, the wide receiver, because Detroit can be had that way. Mm-hmm. And then Detroit is facing the worst defense against quarterbacks, the worst defense against wide receivers. So if Amon-Ra doesn't play, it's definitely a Jameson Williams kind of week.
Big time. Yeah, I think obviously if you're a Lions fan, you hope Amon-Ra plays because it just adds a whole other dimension.
Yeah.
If you're a fantasy owner and you've got Jameson Williams, you're kind of maybe hoping that Amon-Ra doesn't play because if you saw what he did on Thanksgiving as the go-to receiver for this Detroit Lions offense, you kind of like that going into this game against Dallas. A much more depleted defense, I would say, than Green Bay. If he was able to do that versus the Packers, imagine what Jameson Williams could do versus the Cowboys.
Let's kick it over to meteorologist Scott Larson. He's taking a look at the cold weather impacts on this week with games in some cold weather places.
Week 14 of the NFL season gets started between the Cowboys and the Lions, both of those teams trying to work themselves back into the playoff conversation. Now, if you're going to Ford Field, make sure that you're prepared for the elements. It is going to be very cold with an air temperature of about 15 degrees under mostly clear skies. Turning our attention toward this weekend slate of games, we have the Bengals and Joe Burrow going up against the Bills and Josh Allen. And we could have some weather impacts in that game, a chance of some lake effect snow, and it is going to be rather chilly there in Orchard Park. Looking at some of the other matchups this weekend, the Steelers are playing against the Ravens for the AFC North, and temperatures there should be in the mid-40s, mostly sunny. No big weather concerns. There might be a couple of snow showers in Cleveland during that matchup against the Titans. Looks like the weather is going to be very nice. Moving toward Florida, the Bucs are playing host to the Saints. We also have the Jags going up against the Colts in an AFC South matchup. And then into the afternoon, the Bears playing against the Packers, and the tundra is going to be definitely in effect there at Lambeau Field. Looking at some of the primetime games over the weekend, we have the Chiefs playing host to the Texans here on WOODTV. Looks like the weather is going to be chilly for that one, 30 degrees, mostly cloudy skies. No weather problems for the Eagles against the Chargers, as that game will be indoors at SoFi Stadium.
All right, thanks, Scott. We'll adjust our lineups accordingly to those cold games and snow potentials. Let's take a look at the schedule. Here we go. Dallas, Detroit, we talked about. That's your Thursday night game. Seattle, Atlanta, Sunday, 1 o'clock. Let's go.
Yeah.
Seahawks, you got the Battle of the Birds. One is top of their division, the other one's not. Seattle's 9-3. Atlanta's 4-8. This game is 1 o'clock on Fox. Seattle's favored by 8.
Yes. No, and I think they really should be kind of favored by a lot more. Just because, what we've seen from this team. I mean, last week, we've seen it all season long with JSN, Sam Darnold, and the offense for Seattle playing really well. Last week, it was really that defense that kind of helped them out big time. So I look for the defense to, again, kind of have a really big week versus Atlanta. And I don't know if we've ever really talked about kickers that much, but Jason Myers had himself a game last week. I think if you've got him, probably reinsert him back into the lineup. He should have another big week.
Jason Myers is one of the most dependable kickers on a team that kicks field goals.
Exactly. That's the key.
You want a team that kicks field goals.
Right. You don't necessarily maybe want the most accurate kicker in the world. I think back to years past with some guys in particular, but specifically with this year and kind of going forward, you want these teams that maybe kind of muddle the line between scoring a touchdown and getting a field goal in the red zone.
But teams that don't always go for it on 4th and 4, they kick the field goal.
Yeah, we'll take the point.
Or to your point, the Nick Folks, who are great, they don't miss, but they barely get a chance to kick more than an extra point a game. So, let's. I'm going to say start your Seattle running backs, start your Seattle wide receivers, and then if it's not this week, this is your Kyle Pitts week. Okay. If you're still holding on to Kyle Pitts, Seattle, I've been saying it historically, unless the Falcons play the Bengals coming up, because the Bengals are one of the worst teams against tight ends, which I'll talk about in a second. Start Kyle Pitts against the Seahawks this week with Kirk Cousins, and if he doesn't work this week, then forget about it.
Right.
Back to the schedule.
Right.
Cincinnati 4-8, Buffalo 8-4. You got two of the popular quarterbacks in the league with Burrow and Allen. Sunday 1:00 on Fox. Buffalo favored by 6.5. Over under 51.5 points in this game, Phil.
I think over. You got to think over. I hope this is kind of like what we might be seeing on Thursday as far as offensive showcases go. You've got two defenses. The Buffalo defense has gotten a little bit better, but again, still kind of at least able to be scored upon. And I think Joe Burrow, we saw it versus Baltimore on Thanksgiving night. This is a completely different Bengals team with him behind center versus a Joe Flacco or a Jake Browning or something like that. Only thing that kind of concerns me about Cincinnati is the fact that T. Higgins still isn't out of concussion protocol. So if he's back, again, I'll take that over handsomely. I think we could see both teams in the high 30s, maybe even into the 40s. I think this is going to be a really good offensive game. Jamar Chase, obviously, you're going to play. T. Higgins, like Gabe Davis for the Buffalo Bills as well. And, of course, you got to start James Cook and Josh Allen.
The Bengals are the worst against tight ends, so start Kincaid if he plays. Also, running backs. Cincinnati's the worst against running backs, so start Cook for sure. Not that you would consider not starting him. Right. But then Chase Brown on the other side, because Buffalo is weak against the run. This is not the same Buffalo Bills defense we've gotten used to over the years. All right, next up, we've got Tennessee and Cleveland. Battle of the 2025 top pick teams, because Cleveland traded up to number 2.
This could be another high-scoring game just because both teams probably don't want to win this game, honestly.
Exactly.
I do think, though, Cleveland's defense, obviously, we've seen it all season long. They're great. Like Quinshon Judkins, really. But, again, I don't think we've really named too many Tennessee Titans that we would think you should be starting just because that's still a big work in progress for them. Cam Warren has shown flashes. But, again, unless you're desperate, one of your quarterbacks may be on a bye week. But again, he's going up against a really tough defense, so I'd stay away from any Titans if you've got them.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend any against the Cleveland defense. They've been shutting people down. On the Cleveland side, I would say Judkins and maybe Judy, wide receivers, are good against Tennessee. Mm-hmm. Tennessee has been eliminated from the playoffs. They've lost 7 straight. They're 1-11. Cleveland 3-9. This is one of those games. Cleveland 3.5 point favorite. It's 33 over under. It's not really a start everybody kind of game, like we'll see on Thursday night. Yeah,
a little bit different of a situation there. But again, I don't really know how many Titans players people even have, or really too many Cleveland Browns either. So I don't think too many fantasy owners are watching this game.
This could be a start your defense kind of week for Cleveland. I know I am in one of my leagues.
Yes, if you've got Cleveland's defense, you should be starting them for
sure. Next up, Washington 3-9, 7 straight losses. Mm-hmm. One of them was the overtime against Denver. They're 3-9. Minnesota 4-8, 4 straight losses. So you got 2 teams with losing streaks. This is a 1:00 game Sunday on Fox in Minnesota. Washington favored by 1.5. This is a 41.5 point over under.
I'm a little
Yeah.
surprised at that line, though, just
Yeah.
because of the fact that, I mean, okay, let's address it. The Washington Commanders are not the team from last year that went to the NFC Championship game. They don't have Jaden Daniels, so that team is already kind of at a loss. You know, they've had so many injuries to their receivers, too. So that's been something difficult for Marcus Mariota to have to deal with as well. The running game looked strong at first. It's kind of fallen off. The defense also not looking too great under Dan Quinn. So, again, there's a lot of issues with Washington right now. And I am surprised by that line because J.J. McCarthy is set to come back. And I know he hasn't been super great, but he's got to be better than whatever we saw from Minnesota this past weekend. I can't even remember the quarterback's name. Brosmer, I think.
Max Brosmer.
Brosmer, yes. And so, you know, just another game I'm kind of staying away from. Obviously, if you got Justin Jefferson, you're going to play Justin Jefferson. But another game where there's just not really anybody sticking out to me that is a must play or a must sit.
I know this is controversial, but if McCarthy's not back, or even if Brosmer plays, Jefferson, I mean, you can't sit Jefferson and then he blows up on your bench, but
Right.
it's at least it's a good matchup for Jefferson.
Yeah.
It's also a good matchup for Hawkinson and a good matchup for Jordan Mason or Aaron Jones, whoever ends up playing. Jones kind of got banged up there. And then if McCarthy doesn't play, start the Commanders. I've already seen people picking up Commanders in leagues.
Yeah, no, he looked really bad, Brosmer did. And, yeah, I mean, that is a good point to kind of make. I mean, at what point do some of these top guys, do you have to bench them just because of the quarterback play or the fact that they're not getting the ball enough? I mean, that's a good question, probably a much larger question that we should be having at another point in time. But, yeah, I mean, if J.J. McCarthy can't go, especially for these last couple of weeks, yeah, it might be time to start thinking about maybe just keeping Justin Jefferson there, maybe trying to pick up a guy that is getting the ball a lot more.
Okay, let's move on. AFC East divisional matchup, Miami, New York. Miami 3 straight wins. They've quietly climbed to 5-7. New York Jets at home 3-9. Miami favored by 2.5. Over under 41.5.
Yeah, I really like what Miami's been able to do these past couple of weeks, especially after our very own Jack Doles was on the show telling us that they were completely out of the
They were dead. He said they were dead.
Dead in the water. Well, they're still in the hunt at this point in time. They look a lot better, but the one thing that has still concerned me is that rushing defense, and I think you're going up against a guy like Breece Hall who had a pretty good game last week, so he's the one guy I've got my eye on in this matchup.
Yeah, I'm starting Tyrod Taylor in our league
Really?
because I've got players on a bye. We'll talk about the byes. You can
Yeah.
see New England, New York, San Francisco, and Carolina. I've got a New York quarterback and a Carolina quarterback. I've got a New England quarterback, and I've got a mixture of quarterbacks that are on bye this week. So I've got to start Tyrod Taylor in a league, and I'm okay because it's actually a good matchup against Miami.
He didn't look terrible last week either.
He did,
I
yeah.
think, filling in for Justin Fields, I thought he did a pretty good job. I mean, he led them to a win. That's not something the Jets have been able to say too often this year.
Right. Not a lot of those. NFC South divisional matchup. You got the New Orleans Saints and the Tampa Bay Bucks. New Orleans 2-10. They've been eliminated from the playoffs. Tampa Bay 7-5. This is a 1:00 game on Sunday. Tampa Bay favored by 8. This is one of the biggest favorites of the week, according to Vegas.
And it should be. I mean, the last time these two teams played, I think Tampa Bay won by 23 or some crazy margin like that. But they stopped Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield did not have a single touchdown in that game and was really kind of held in check. But that kind of let the running game kind of speak for the Buccaneers offense. That's why I'm going with Bucky Irving. I like him in this matchup. Again, a lot of injuries to the Tampa Bay receiving core. So you got Emeka Egbuka. If you've got him, probably a good idea to maybe play him. He might get some catches, but I think the running game is really going to tell this, especially if Tampa Bay can get up early. I expect a lot of carries for Bucky Irving and Tucker as well to just kind of bleed out the clock and send Tampa Bay home with a win.
They've got that 3-headed monster at running back now with Bucky Irving back. So New Orleans, you could start wide receivers and tight ends because Tampa Bay has been shaky on that front. And if you're desperate, Tyler Shuck. If you're desperate, Tyler Shuck could be out there for you. And then here's this little nugget for teams that are in the playoffs. New Orleans, in Week 16, they play the Jets, and in Week 17, they play the Titans. So look ahead. Phil's probably going to pick them up during the show.
Doing it right now.
The Saints defense, they play the Jets in Week 16 and the Titans in championship week. So take a look at that, see if they're available for you. Next up, we got a battle for the first place in the AFC South. The Colts are 8-4. They've lost 2 in a row. They've lost three out of 4. They're down to 8-4 after that hot start. Jacksonville have won 3 straight games. They're up to 8-4, so they both have the same record here. Sunday game on CBS. This is a Colts by 1.5, 47.5 point over.
Yeah, no, I love this matchup. As you know, of course, both teams 8-4, battling for first place in the AFC South. Winner will have sole control of that division. So, yeah, a lot at stake here. Does that pressure help the Colts? Does it hurt the Colts? Does it help the Jaguars? Does it hurt the Jaguars? I think what Jacksonville's been able to do the past couple of weeks is really good, but they haven't really played too many good teams, too many solid teams at least. So, again, don't want to take anything away from it, but it might be fool's gold. We know that the Colts are good. They've stumbled the past 2 weeks, but that mainly has to do with Daniel Jones. He does not look 100%. I don't know if he's going to be 100% in this one, but I think your normal guys, Jonathan Taylor for sure is getting a start this week versus that Jacksonville defense. Maybe I would go with Travis Etienne. He kind of stumbled a little bit last week for me, but I still think he's been able to put together a couple of really good offensive performances. Don't know how about Trevor Lawrence, though. I think the Colts defense will kind of respond back this week.
Start both tight ends in this matchup. You're starting Tyler Warren. You're starting Brenton Strange. Both teams are susceptible to the tight end. Moving on to the next matchup, AFC North. Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers are 6-6, taking on the Baltimore Ravens and Lamar Jackson, who hasn't looked like Lamar Jackson, also 6-6. Baltimore favored by 6.5 at home Sunday, 1:00. It's an over/under of 43.5.
Yeah, I mean, Aaron Rodgers called out the Steelers after Sunday's loss, just saying that there was a lack of motivation, lack of effort and everything. So you got to think, well, he's the quarterback, he's got to have some kind of say in that locker room. Will the team respond is the question, though, and I don't know if they will. They have not looked good offensively. I don't think in any game this year they've done enough to get to those 6 wins, but nothing has really jumped off the page. The running back room is okay if maybe you want to play one of them, but Baltimore's weakness really has been kind of in the passing game, and I don't maybe DK Metcalf you want to play. Again, with all the tight ends that the Steelers have, not really any guy in particular is like jumping out to me either. And then Baltimore, they've looked again shaky at best, but you're starting Derrick Henry again. Lamar Jackson kind of in that Justin Jefferson territory where you're like, okay, if he has a big game and he's on my bench, I'm going to feel like an idiot. But at some point, you got to start thinking about, okay, is he the best guy for my team right now?
Right. This is a week that you're trying to make the playoffs or trying to cement your position in the playoffs. So it's a tough week to play Lamar. Definitely play Mark Andrews in this matchup. AFC West, Denver coming off that big win on Monday night. They're 10-2. They've won 9 straight games against the Raiders. They're 2-10. They've been eliminated from the playoffs. Unlike Phil's fantasy team, this is the 4:00 slate, and Denver's favored by 7.5.
Again, surprised it's only 7.5. I don't think the Raiders will score a single point in this game. They might get a Daniel Carlson field goal in garbage time, maybe. This offense is abysmal. I mean, you've got so many cool options. You got Ashton Genty, got Brock Bowers. You'd think that they would be at least carrying you to some semblance of points. But again, it's all goes down to the play calling, the quarterback play, offensive line protection. It's all a mess right now for Vegas, and now you're going up against arguably the best defense in the NFL right now. I don't say this lightly, but if you can somehow if you don't have Denver's defense and you can somehow get them, they might very well carry. I could see them getting 25, 30 points this game through interceptions, turnovers in general, and just, not giving up any points.
I feel bad for you.
Yeah, I wouldn't feel too bad, right?
Denver definitely start the wide receivers. In Las Vegas, you're starting Brock Bowers and hoping for all those yards. Next up, NFC North. This is a big one that even Lions fans will be paying attention to. Chicago, your NFC North #1 pole position currently as we speak today. Chicago 9-3, 5 straight wins. Green Bay 3 straight wins. They're 8-3-1. So you got the 2 top teams in the NFC North 425 on Fox. Green Bay favored by 5.5 at home. This is an over-under of 45.5. So it's good, but I think they're giving Green Bay's defense, and Chicago's defense has been pretty good too.
Right. Yeah. No, I think if you're a Lions fan, you're probably glad that your guys are playing on Thursday, because I think it's to really settle in for this matchup and kind of just see where the rest of the NFC North is going. Because again, Detroit kind of on the outside looking in right now. I really like the running game for Chicago and what they've been able to do these past couple of weeks, especially with Kamanungai. Really like him, but I don't know about the running against this Green Bay defense. I mean, we saw Jahmyr Gibbs kind of struggle a little bit last week. I mean, the front seven for Green Bay is as good as anybody else in the league right now. I will say, though, this could be a big game for Caleb Williams and Roman Dunze, because we saw what Jared Goff and Jameson Williams were kind of able to do last week. So I think that might be where I would lean a little bit more towards Green Bay. Again, Jordan Love had a really great week last week, but he kind of spread the ball. I think he threw 4 touchdowns, and I'm pretty sure it was to 4 different receivers. So again, it's kind of a little bit difficult to say which receiver is going to catch most of the passes right there. And then Josh Jacobs, of course, also still, a little gimpy, still a little injured there. So maybe staying away from those guys.
Yeah, my only recommendations for this game are Jordan Love, and if you can figure out which Packers wide receiver is going to catch a touchdown. Next up, we got the Rams, 9-3. They're coming off that loss to Carolina. Mm-hmm. The Rams are 9-3. Their only losses are Carolina, Philadelphia, San Francisco. So these are all teams that we consider are pretty good. Mm-hmm. Arizona 3-9. They've been eliminated from the playoffs. They've lost 4 straight. Rams are favored by 8 in this one. Over under 48.5.
Yeah, one guy I really like in this matchup, and it's not anybody on the Rams. I do think the Rams are going to dominate this game, truly. I think it's going to be a big bounce-back game from that loss to Carolina. Devontae Adams, Matthew Stafford, probably going to have really big games. But one guy that I would say you should probably think about starting is Jacoby Brissett. He has 3 straight weeks of 300-yard passing.
Definitely.
And he's been, kind of balling out a little bit. He's not getting you a ton of points. He's not going to get you 30 points. He's not going to carry your fantasy team. But especially with all these bye weeks. I mean, look at the teams that are on byes right now. I mean, you might have, there's somebody who's got Drake May right now. There's somebody that probably has Jackson Dart, Brock Purdy, maybe even Bryce Young. I mean, that's a guy that I would look towards, because he's at least going to get you probably close to 20, 25 points, and then maybe just give you enough to win this week.
Sunday night, Houston, 7-5, 4 straight wins. People thought they were out, but they've been quietly doing. Their defense is kicking butt. Mm-hmm. Against Kansas City, 6-6. This is a Sunday night game on NBC. Kansas City at home, favored by 3.5. This is an over/under of 42.5. Looks like a defensive game.
Yeah, definitely. Well, and again, is Kansas City gonna fall to 6-7 on this year and really be on the outside looking in?
Yeah.
Again, I think Kansas City. I never would bet against Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid in that team. So as far as picking a winner in that one, probably leaning a little bit more towards Kansas City. With their back is truly against the wall right now. But again, I think it's totally going to depend on what Houston brings to the table offensively, because that Houston defense is for real. They've shown it all season long. So I think Kansas City does just enough. But I still am not saying there's anybody on Kansas City that I would say you should be starting, especially with the running back rooms. Nobody has really popped out there. Maybe Xavier Worthy, maybe Travis Kelce, maybe. But again, that Houston defense is great. And then, Kansas City just as good on the defensive side of the ball, too. So I don't really know who you're leaning towards for Houston either.
I don't recommend anybody except for the defenses, to be honest. I mean, obviously, you've got to play certain players, but there's none I feel comfortable recommending. No. Last game on the slate, we've been flying through this, Phil. Having so much fun, we forgot to take a break.
Right.
Last up, Monday night, Philadelphia 8-4. They've lost 2 in a row. Mm-hmm. Chargers 8-4. They've won 4 of their last 5. But they've beat Las Vegas, Pittsburgh, Tennessee, Minnesota, teams that we're not thinking are hot stuff right now. Right. This is Philadelphia 3.5 favorite on the road.
Well, and Philly's lost 2 in a row, too, to Dallas and Chicago. And I think, one thing that we've been saying all season long is, even if the offense for Philadelphia isn't necessarily showing up, that defense is. And it's always been really difficult to run on them. But the last 2 weeks, they've been kind of giving up some yards, especially last week to the Chicago Bears. Kamanungai had a really great game in that one. And we saw the Chargers kind of lean a little bit more on the running game with Justin Herbert being a little injured right now. He's questionable for that game. If he's out, I would probably stay away from any receiver for the Chargers and focus mostly on the running backs. I think Vidal and then, of course, Amari and Hampton coming back was going to be huge for them.
Yes, Amari and Hampton, please come back for the playoffs so I can avoid relegation in the WOODTV League. Hampton or Vidal, whoever starts, you're starting them. And then be careful, like Phil said, with Herbert, because Trey Lance would be the starter if Herbert can't play. All right, well, let's take our break. We missed it earlier, so let's take our break now, and we'll come back with an update on the league. See how Phil and the rest of the league's doing. Welcome back, Fantasy Plus. Phil and I are talking about our league. Unfortunately, one of us is in the playoffs, the other one is not in the playoffs. Let's take a look at the scores. I lost to Cam. I only managed 93 points.
See, that Seattle defense, 30 points, I'm saying. Jason
Against,
Myers, 19 points.
Yes, against me.
Yeah.
Against me. I got Jason Myers on at least two of my teams, so that was my bright spot. When the kicker is my bright spot. Yeah. Dan Nichols picked up another win, 94-81 over Gavin. And then Jack picked up a win against the former champ, Mike. I don't think he's going to be able to defend his crown.
I don't think so. Jack getting a much needed win, too.
Yeah. Second page, Laney gets the win over Phil. Stops your, what was it, 5 in a row?
Yeah. It was 6 in a row. To be fair, it was 6 in a row.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, I mean, it was just a really rough week. I talked a lot about Travis Etienne having a big game, and I think he got me a whopping 5 points as my running back too. So I think that was sort of the nail in the coffin. But you know what? We're already in the playoffs. You're just trying to coast through these last couple of weeks.
Yeah, and Kyron got banged up in that one. He came back in and got a touchdown. I have him in a different league, so I was paying attention. And then Herbert got banged up. So that's two of your leaders were banged up in that game. So that tells the tale. Not that you did anything wrong or anything.
Yeah, it's not my fault.
And then Brian, who has been cruising, drops 63 against Alec. Alec picks up a much-needed win that puts him in playoff contention, which we'll get to in a second. Matt picks up another win. He's got a stranglehold on the West Division. Yeah, beat the boss. Win. Yeah, big win over the boss.
And see, this is I probably could have. I would be tied with Brian right now if I was able to win, and then we'd be kind of battling for second place in the division. So again, really, really untimely loss for me.
And speaking of the division, I did some color coding here to help. So the orange markers, they clinched the division and a first round bye, which means they'll be the teams to beat in the playoffs. They have the first round bye. That's Dan on the East and Matt on the West. And then Brian's in, Phil, you're in. And then there's 4 teams fighting for 2 spots in the playoffs. Gavin and Alec would be in if the playoffs started today. Gavin plays Jack. Alec plays Brad. Laney and Cam have to win and get some help. That's Loud and Stroud and Neighborhood Watch there at 6 and 7. Laney plays Brian and Cam plays Dan. So they're both playing
the top teams.
Right, so it's tough. And then the rest of us that are not in the playoffs go into the consolation bracket to try to avoid relegation, which is something Jack's worried about. He's mentioned it many times.
You don't end up on the outside looking in on this league, though.
No. And I'll probably still be in it because
I'm in charge.
Commissioner. Well, thanks for watching this week. We appreciate it. We'll be back next week. And just a programming note for the week of Christmas and the week before Christmas, we'll be taking those 2 weeks off for holidays and whatnot. It is the championship week, so we'll try to leave you with as much as possible before championship week. But good luck this week, trying to get in the playoffs or trying to get up higher bracket in the playoffs. And we'll see you next week.